10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Growing bolder, what's next?
Hi, I'm Marc Middleton in a very quiet Growing Bolder newsroom as our team members enjoy the holiday with their family and friends. And, you know, of course, many of us are missing our parents, our children, extended members of our family as the pandemic continues to rage. I sure hope that your family is doing well, is healthy today. And thank you for joining me for what I promise will be a very uplifting 30 minutes together. Coming up in just a few minutes from his home in London, where he's locked down due to the pandemic, Carl Honoré. He's a global guru of the slow movement and an award-winning author whose books have been translated into 35 languages. He'll join us to talk about his new book, Bolder, Making the Most of Our Longer Lives. We'll get to Carl in just a second, but first I want to share a little bit of our week with you. We wanted to do something small but heartfelt and especially meaningful for our team here at Growing Bolder, a way of giving thanks for all they've done this year. And I decided to share a little bit of Growing Bolder history, since we've been growing so rapidly and not everybody understands where we've come from. I shared the story of our friend and colleague Wendy Chioji, with whom I worked for 34 years. Wendy was a 3-time cancer survivor, and she worked with us up until her death in October of 2019 from thymic cancer. But as I said, she had 3 types of cancer, and the first time she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought a very public battle on television, sharing with all of her viewers what she went through. And when it was over in 2008, she had an epiphany about life in general, about what was important to her, and she walked away from a glamorous, high-paying job to move to Utah in what she described to us as a very Growing Bolder moment. It was a Growing Bolder move. And those who knew Wendy know that she had 4 mantras that she lived by the final 10 or 11 years of her life. Live fearlessly, which was the name of her popular and inspiring blog. Say yes, which she did on a daily basis. Defy, which she also did, and eat pie for breakfast. Wendy embodied the Growing Bolder ethos, and we hired her as a contributor and as a host for our program Surviving and Thriving. We built her website, we published her blog, we followed her as she traveled the world, visiting all 7 continents, and as she competed in the Ironman World Championship in Kona. She skied, she climbed mountains, and she always found time for her many friends and to volunteer, to advocate for, and to raise money for the many causes that she believed in. I explained to the team that Wendy is part of our legacy. She's in our corporate DNA. She's part of our company culture. I explained why we have Defy on the wall here in our office, and I shared why there is an original print of a piece of pie that's titled Say Yes, hanging on the wall in our kitchen. It's made by Stephen Sandlin, a friend of Wendy, a friend of Growing Bolder, who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with Wendy. It's why, as a small gesture of thanks for all that our team members do, we gave each Growing Bolder staff member a pie from a great local bakery with Wendy's mantra of eat pie for breakfast on it. We wanted them to remember Wendy for all that she meant to so many, and we wanted them to understand that while she did take her mantra of eat pie for breakfast literally, it was also a metaphor for how she lived her life and how she thought that the rest of us should live our lives. The choices that she made, her desire to put the people and the passions she loved first in all that she did. And then we showed them this short video. It's in fact Wendy's final interview, a video that I think should be required viewing, and not just for all new GB staff members, but really for all of us, especially on Thanksgiving. What do you live for?
I live for today and tomorrow. I always have an adventure on the front burner. I have an adventure on every single burner. And what you said earlier about people not realizing how precious time is until they have some kind of life crisis is absolutely true. So I've had the crisis, and I'm listening, I'm paying attention, and I'm gonna take every advantage and every opportunity that I possibly can for however many days that I have left.
How are you dealing with the thought of death?
I think of death almost every day in some form or fashion. I am going to produce my memorial. I already know what I want to do. Although Stuart Scott did steal a couple of ideas from me, I will reconnoiter and figure it back out. I don't fear death. It's a natural part of life. I don't want to suffer, but I don't fear it. My whole family was Buddhist except for my immediate family, so I do believe you come back again until you get it right. I hope I get it right this time and can move on to whatever is out there. But I'm trying to get everything right in this life, and I'm working very hard at it. My friends are so great, and everybody probably says the exact same thing about their friends, but when you talk about cultivating and leveraging friendship, it really is work. Friendship is a fragile thing, can be a fragile thing that you actually have to invest yourself in and invest time in and emotion and spirituality and listening and sharing. My friends have got me through this. My friends and my family have totally got me through this. It's an amazing safety net, support system that I don't need often, but when I do need it, it's a very comforting thing to know that they're going to be there with the net to tell me whatever it is I need to hear. My mantra of say yes, I try to live it every single day. I think that you have no idea what the experiences and the opportunities and the people you might meet are unless you put yourself into that situation. I think that a lot of people won't say yes because they start thinking about all the negative things that would happen. I might be late, it's going to cost a lot of money, so they don't take that opportunity, but I think that you miss so much. I have zero regrets about the way that I've lived my life, particularly the last 5 years, because it's very, very rare, maybe it never happens, that I don't say yes. I think that you never know what's out there and you can't experience it unless you put yourself in it. So I say take the opportunity and say yes.
Wendy fought with everything she had to live this one day and then one more after that. She fought for another day on her bike, another day on the slopes, another trip to some far-off place. She fought for another day helping others, protecting wild animals, and relaxing with her beloved cats. She fought for another day raising money and awareness for cancer causes. She fought for another slice of pie, another glass of wine, another amazing meal. She fought for one more adventure, one more retreat with her many girlfriends. She fought to compete in another triathlon, to climb another mountain, to send another message of hope.
That easily was the hardest thing that I've ever done. Times it's hard to keep going, but we're here for a bigger reason, so here I am.
She fought to write one more blog to encourage others that life is worth fighting for. And through it all, she fought for one more laugh.
Did I just spit on you?
Wendy hated her disease and never laughed about it, but laughed openly at it. At times it stole her energy, but never her zest for life. In the middle of a difficult course of radiation and chemotherapy, she said this.
How you feel?
I feel fantastic. Oh my gosh, I have the best life. I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. No matter what happens, I have the greatest life. Sometimes it's just to make sure that you appreciate the good stuff, that the bad stuff comes. I get it. I'm on it.
She was on it until the very end and leaves us all with this message.
I don't have trouble being self-motivated into making every day the best day ever, realizing that it could be your last. It could be your last every day that you wake up. But I will say that I still get frustration when I see friends and family, not naming any names, not taking full advantage of good health, of resources, of free time, and making their lives everything they can be. Because I would love to have that opportunity. I'd love to be able to count on 20 more years of traveling around the world and trying to visit many more countries and eating food in many more countries. I'm not gonna have that, I know that. My big thing is take calculated risks. That hasn't changed in years. Say yes, go out and do things. Try to be great every day, because it might be your last day. You have no idea.
You know, Wendy told me many times that growing bolder actually helped inspire her to quit her job. And the first time she told me that, I was worried because it was really a big risk. But knowing now the little time that she had and how she filled that with the things that gave her joy each and every day, you know, makes me grateful that we did play a small part to help her experience more in the last 10 years of her life than honestly most of us would experience in 10 lifetimes. So Wendy was bold. She was very, very bold, and I think that's the perfect segue to Carl Honoré. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Carl, who is a world-renowned journalist. He's an author. I spoke to him from his home in London. His first 3 books, translated into dozens of languages, were In Praise of Slow, Under Pressure, and The Slow Fix. And those 3 books combined made him the world guru of the slow movement, the Lord of Leisure, if you will. And he traveled around the world teaching people how to thrive in a fast world by slowing down, by paying attention. Carl's latest book is Bolder, Making the Most of Our Longer Lives, which should explain why I wanted to talk to him. Carl, you are, I guess, an understatement to call you a bit of a globetrotter. You have got clients, you've got speaking gigs, you've got media projects all over the world. You're in London now. Europe at this time really pretty much in a state of lockdown, you know, almost the second wave of COVID there. How are you tolerating the pandemic, both personally and professionally?
Well, I mean, it's a big hit, right? I mean, we're all having different pandemics, you know, same storm, different boats. My boat is very much a bunker, right? Here I am hunkered down in my home, talking to you from my sofa in South London. Sometimes I feel like I haven't got off this sofa since March, because as you say, I used to be, you know, on planes and going around and doing stuff, and I haven't gone anywhere since. So in a sense, that's been quite tough. But there's been a kind of pleasing pivot. You know, that's the big word of the moment. I'm doing a lot of things now online. And finding that virtual is a lot more fruitful, a lot more zingy, a lot more helpful than I used to imagine it was. So I've moved a lot of my work online professionally. From a personal point of view, I'm yearning for more human contact. You know, we're social animals, and I think that's what most of us are feeling more starved of now than ever. You know, screen chats. I'm going to be doing a wine tasting quite soon online. It's not the same thing as being in the same room. I'm very much looking forward to getting back out there into the real world with real people in real places.
Well, you know, there is many silver linings, and one of them is this. You know, we've kind of have met virtually, and you know, obviously, I want to talk about your book Bolder because that is what brought us together. But you know, I don't want to overlook, you know, the first part of your career. As I mentioned in the intro, you are an award-winning journalist, obviously with a very curious mind. And Bold is your 4th book. Your first 3 were all at least directly related to a movement that you've been called, you know, the godfather of the slow movement, the global guru of slow, the world's #1 evangelist for slow moving. So if you can, give us the broad strokes of that, Carl. What attracted you to slow, and why is it important for us?
Sure. Well, I'll start off by telling how I got into slow. I mean, I'm a naturally fast person, and I had got stuck in fast forward. Every moment of my day was a race against the clock. And I think when you get stuck in roadrunner mode like that, it takes a wake-up call to make you realize that you've forgotten how to slow down. That's doing real harm. And a lot of people find the wake-up call comes in the form of an illness. The body says, one day, that's it, no more. My wake-up call came when I started reading bedtime stories to my son. And I tell you what, I just couldn't slow down. Right? My version of Snow White had 3 dwarfs in it, right? And I got to the point where I was flirting with buying a book I'd heard about called The 1 Minute Bedtime Story, right? Snow White in 60 seconds. And I remember thinking, yes, great idea, Amazon drone delivery. And then, you know, the light bulb went on over my head and I thought, whoa, I'm racing through my life instead of actually living it. So I began to sort of unpeel my own addiction to speed, but that led me to the bigger picture of why are we all so hooked on going faster and doing more and less time. And out of that came this whole slow movement, the slow philosophy, which actually is not about doing everything slowly. That would be absurd. I'm not an extremist or a fundamentalist of slowness. Man, I love speed, right? Faster is often better, but not always. And so slow with a capital S is about doing things at the right speed. You know, what musicians call the tempo giusto, right? The right tempo for each moment. Sometimes fast, sometimes slower, right? You know, it's a state of mind. It's about being present, being in the moment, kind of doing one thing at a time. Remember when we used to do that? It's ultimately about doing everything that's not as fast as possible, but as well as possible, right? But a very simple idea, hugely revolutionary one, I think, in this climate. So you arrive at each moment now with a slow chip, changes everything you do, from the way you work, the way you make love, the way you raise your kids, the way you eat, everything, which is why this whole slow revolution has grown so fast.
What a blessing it is to do, what we do. I often say, to have an interest and be able to research it, explore it, and learn about it. Ultimately, you've got a media project in mind, but it affects your own life, changes how you live. How has slow changed Carl Honoré?
Well, utterly. And that was my big worry, right? Was that I would end up with a media project or a book or something at the end and with no effect in my own life. But the opposite is true. I've managed to engineer a 180-degree turn. I have a very clear before and after. My before, every second of my life was a dash to the finish line. And I don't feel like that anymore. I just simply don't feel rushed. I get lots done. I do interesting things. I have what I consider to be a rewarding and rich and wonderful life. But I've just lost that feeling of having to race the clock. And that's been such a game changer for me, that it, makes up for all the hard work that goes into getting a book like this together and a movement like this off the ground, and all of the work that goes into keeping it afloat, right? Helping people bring their own version of slow to the table. And I found myself doing a lot of mentoring for people, doing projects and so on. And of course, all the speaking and workshops and things that come off it. So I'm thankful that it actually utterly transformed my life. Otherwise, I probably would have checked out long ago.
We are talking with Carl Honoré from his home in London. And, as I mentioned, this is a guy whose books have been translated into 35 different languages. He's an international bestseller. He's a TED Talk superstar and just an all-around cool dude. And folks, this is what I'm listening to on Audible right now. It's Carl's latest book, Bolder, Making the Most of Our Longer Lives. And this is really kind of what brought us together. And Carl, I told someone here in the office, I've been rushed all day and I'm not prepared for the Carl Honoré interview. And then I realized, we're talking about aging. And I mean this in the most positive way. I could have written your book and you could have written my book. Obviously, and it's great. Two different voices that are very much aligned in talking about the same thing. So let's talk about your book, because one of the things I admire about you very, very much, you mentioned you created a global movement around slow, something that has resonated with an audience worldwide. Most people might have stopped right there and built this cottage industry around that. But no, you got focused on aging. What was it about aging that inspired you so much to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think partly I'm just intellectually restless. Although I love the slow work I do, and I think it's immensely powerful and important for mankind and the planet and all of us on it. I don't want to feel like that's all I'll ever do for the rest of my life and locked in some kind of Groundhog Day. So I'm always on the lookout for new things to bring to the world, right? New ideas to explore and maybe even new movements to launch. And I've discovered now that this Boulder's my fourth book. I've seen a pattern, which is that every book of mine always starts with a small existential crisis. And that's what happened with Boulder. And for me, it started at a hockey tournament where I'm a big hockey player, Canadian, right? So it comes with the territory. And I was, playing very well. I just scored an incredible highlight reel goal to propel my team into the semifinals. And suddenly I was told by one of the organizers that I was the oldest player at the tournament. And it was so weird because I knew I was one of the oldest, right? I'm not deluded. But somehow to be the oldest, it just rocked me to the very foundations of my being. And suddenly it's like in the blink of an eye, I went from goal scorer to granddad. And I began to hear all of these questions in the back of my mind. Are people laughing at you? Do you look out of place here? Is it time to take up a more age appropriate pastime like bingo maybe? And don't get me wrong, I love a good game of bingo as much as anyone, but I prefer hockey at this point in my life. And it was just something about the fact that my chronological age, my birth date, those numbers on my driver's license suddenly took on this terrible power to limit and define me. They suddenly became a straitjacket, and I began questioning something that I love doing and that I'm good at doing. And I began to think, well, why did I feel that way? What is it about age that can turn into this millstone around our necks? And I came away from that tournament thinking, I need to unpick this. There's something below the surface that I'm not getting here, right? I'm not doing aging right. And then, of course, you take a couple of steps into that world and you realize that we're all doing aging wrong, right? We're in an era now when we're living longer, better for longer than ever before. And yet have we ever felt worse about growing older? So there's this peculiar and toxic disconnect that's occurring. And I just stumbled into it in the middle of a hockey tournament. And that was really the spark for writing Boulder.
Yeah, and thank you for following that spark. And I think, and I've written about this, that this happens to all of us. Folks, this is what happens. At some point, we have a thought, an event, somebody says something to us that makes us realize we're a certain age. And then all of a sudden, all of the ages that has, existed around us from the time we were born begins to kick in. And this negative self-image begins to influence the way we age. And Carl, I know we share stories, which is really how you get people's attention. But we're both fascinated by research, and you quote Becca Levy and Ellen Langer, and all of these people have done research that proves, the importance of our mindset. And that's one of the many things I love about your book. And one of the reasons, folks, you should get this book by Carl Honoré, because it is critically important to change your mindset about the way you age. I agree with that, Carl.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think there's such a natural, intimate bond between how aging better and feeling better about aging, right? The two are inseparable. And that was one of the things that most blew me away in my research was, you mentioned some of the academics there that done a lot of the studies on it, that actually how we feel about aging affects the way we age. And I had no idea that was the case. And, it's quite a lot of research that shows that if you venerate youth and denigrate aging, you're more likely to age less well, right? You're more likely to develop dementia or physical cognitive decline or even die younger. So ageism, right? Buying into the cult of youth, the idea that it's all downhill from wherever, 35, 40, wherever you're drawing the line. If you buy into that idea, which is erroneous and wrong, you're actually harming yourself. Ageism, let's call it by its name, is the ultimate act of self-harm, right? To buy into it, you're hurting yourself now, you're hurting your future self, and you're also hurting everyone around you.
Yeah, it really is remarkable how much psychology is our physiology. And folks, one of the things I love about Carl Honoré's book is that honestly, Carl, I think your book might have as much resonance and greater long-term impact to a 20 and a 30 and a 40-year-old than a 60 and a 70-year-old. Not to say that 60 and 70-year-olds shouldn't read it, but this is a problem with a lot of the people that create content for aging, is that it feels old, it smells old, and it eliminates the people who can benefit most from it. And if you want to change the way you age, you need to change your mindset. And reading Carl's book is a great way to do that. So, Carl, you've written it for everybody. This is not for a particular demographic, is it?
Very much so. I mean, coming out the other end of it, I realized that I wish I had written this book 20 years ago for my 30-year-old self, right? Because that way I would have saved myself 2 decades of shame, fear, dread, disgust, guilt about aging. I would have saved myself 20 years of self-harming ageism, doing my own self-damage. And that's what I found actually now that the book is out in the world and landing with people, that the range of people reading it is so wide. I mean, the oldest reader I've had so far that I've heard from is a 96-year-old. But I'm hearing from a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s, around those milestone birthdays, when the ageist industrial complex begins to weigh more heavily on us, and we begin to hear that little voice whispering in the back of our head, maybe you're too old for this, right? People can start feeling that as early as their late 20s. So I feel that when we talk about the kind of work that you're doing with Growing Bolder and that I'm trying to do with my book as well, this is something that is for all of us, because we are all marinated in the same poisonous soup of ageism, right? And it's hurting all of us, whatever age we are. And the earlier and the younger we start, the better. So one of the things that I'm doing actually through workshops and that is really getting these ideas into schools, like doing events for teenagers to get them to think about what age means, what their future self might look like, to break out of that rigid 3-stage life path that we've inherited from before, which is early life is education, middle life is making money, careers, maybe having kids, and then last stage is pension, leisure, right? And to smash that and tear it down and say that life is a long arc, and it's up to you to decide what your life is going to look like at each stage, whether you're 25, 35, 55, 85, or 105, right? But the earlier you start, the better it's going to be for you and everyone around you.
Amen, brother. Yours is a voice that we need in this movement. And I got two more questions at least. First of all, I know you're not leaving the slow movement, and I know you'll never leave, the bold movement. But is there a broad strokes takeaway of the two combined? I mean, what has Carl Honoré learned about life in general that you could share with the rest?
I think that, I guess in some ways people often say it's the time. Time is maybe the kind of leitmotif here. It's the thread that links it all together, is how we think about time. And of course, slow is all about pace and the use of time and being in the moment. And there's something to do with that with bolder as well, is rethinking the long arc of time, right? The long arc of a lifetime. Thinking not so much in terms of minutes, hours, days, and months, but thinking years and decades. And reshaping and reframing how we feel about time and how we use it, and how we approach each moment in the now, and also how we think about each moment in the future. So if I had to link the two bits of my oeuvre together, I think that might be the most obvious bridge, is time and what we do with it, how we feel about it.
I can't wait to see what you do next. And as you say that, I'm wondering if maybe mindfulness is going to be the next thing. But, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure you're not going to move on for this. But is there a next thing yet? Is there something that has captured your intellectual curiosity that you're now beginning to research that you can share with us? Or is that a secret?
No, it wouldn't be a secret. No, it's just that I haven't had the right existential crisis yet to spur me to move into it. I haven't identified the next lake I'm going to dive into. I am where I am at the moment, and I guess in some ways coming back full circle to the pandemic, and I'm just trying to keep balls in the air and keep on keeping on, which is really what most of us have to aspire to at the moment. But who knows? I mean, these things sometimes come like lightning bolts. So maybe next week I'll find the next furrow that I'm going to be plowing.
Well, I'm going to be paying attention. Carl, I think, like you, I'm pretty damn excited about the future and about growing older. And there's not a lot of people there, outside of this space that I'm standing in right now that make me feel excited. A lot of people that make me curious, a lot of people that give me information, a lot of people that provide resources, but very few people that get me excited about what's next. And you're one of them. And I tell you, when the pandemic is over, you're either coming to here, or I'm coming to London, and we're going to hang out at a pub and solve the problems of the world.
Deal. That's a deal. As soon as.
I appreciate it. And we're going to put up in just a second how people can connect with you at your website, carlhonoré.com. And also, how you can get his latest book, Bolder, and his 3 previous books. They are all, I'm sure you've heard of them, international bestsellers. Carl Honoré, it is an honor to hang out with you. Thanks for your time.
It's been a thrill and a privilege, and I look forward to the next meeting. Thank you so much.
You bet. See you. I cannot wait to do more with my bolder brother, Carl Honoré. And here's that website again, if you would like to learn more about Carl and perhaps purchase his books. All right, let's begin to wrap this up. At Growing Bolder, we are giving thanks for you today. We're giving thanks to you because we need one another. We need one another's encouragement. We need one another's support. We need one another's inspiration. You give that to us every day, and we try like heck to give that to you as well. We give thanks for our mission that we share together, to be happy and to be healthy, to live lives of passion and purpose, to help one another deal with the many challenges of life, the many challenges of aging. And no matter what, to not let those challenges steal our joy. So what's on my mind this morning? Well, what's on my mind is a reminder to eat pie for breakfast, to put the people and the things that are most important to us first in our life, because you never really know. It has been a difficult year for just about everybody. It's been tragic for many. And Wendy's message is more relevant now than ever. It's a message that truly becomes more relevant with each passing day because, let's face it, most of us have fewer tomorrows than we do yesterdays. So if you have a friend or neighbor that is alone this weekend, why don't you reach out to him or her? Make sure they're okay. Take a slice of pie, put on a mask, and reach out to them and go deliver that. And you've probably heard me say this many times, but our legacy is nothing more than the stories that people tell about us when we're gone. So what's your legacy going to be? What are the stories that they will tell about you when you're gone? The Egyptians used to say, they used to believe that we actually die twice. The first time is when we take our final breath, and the final time is the last time that people speak our names. And by that measure, Wendy Chioji is going to be around for a long, long time. It's something for all of us to aspire to have an impact on this world, on this planet, on our family, on our friends. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes being kind and considerate and mostly being grateful for all that we have. So happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay healthy, stay well, and we'll see you back here soon.
Growing bolder, what's next?